Welcome everyone to the unofficial official IB podcast, where me, the host Arsenti, and the co-host Yasin are interviewing post-IB students who are currently in other life circumstances and universities and so on and so forth. Yasin, the co-host, is here to represent the side of the A-level experience, to compare to the IB experience. Just like always, just like the previous video. If you haven't watched the previous video, why the hell are you here? Watch the previous videos before that. They're very fun. They're not. Don't watch them. I encourage you to not watch them, but you can if you want to. So today's guest is Sarah. Sarah, if you'd like to introduce yourself, be free.
Hello, I'm Sarah. I did 2 years of IB. I actually transferred in the second semester of the first year of IB, so I didn't do a full 2 years, but I still got my diploma. And I went on to study medicine at a university in the same country.
Let's start with the usual, with the same question I ask everyone. Why did you pick IB in the first place?
Well, I wanted more university leverage when it came to choosing where to go. And also I figured that I didn't have a good math course in the A-level course I was in. I only had math 2, and most universities needed math 3 or math 4 to apply for medicine anyway, which I wanted to do dead set for a while. So I figured IB would also just give me more general medical knowledge in the higher level biology and chemistry courses, which was proved to be correct. And I also just preferred the environment of the IB classroom, just in my own school specifically.
Connecting that to you, you switched from A-level to IB when exactly?
January 19th of the first year.
Yeah. So you basically skipped half a semester, right?
No, 1 semester. I skipped half a year.
Oh, sorry, yeah. A whole semester, half a year.
Wow.
How did that affect your performance in IB, if it did?
Yeah, and how did you get used to IB so quickly?
Well, basically, the only difference in IB was that I had math that was harder than my A-level math because the biology was pretty similar. The chemistry was incredibly similar. English literature, I'm just good at that naturally, so it was pretty fine. And for French, it was probably my biggest learning curve because half a semester of language, not knowing, and then coming in when everyone else already has half a semester of language under their belt was very intimidating, and I was very behind for the first year for sure, but the second year I got back in. For history, it was pretty easy. It was American history, which I knew from older years, and so math and French were the only really difficult catching up ones that made IB seem so different from A-levels.
What about the learning style between IB and A-level? Did you have to adapt too much, or you didn't do enough of A-level to really have to adapt?
It was pretty similar, actually. The way A-level asks questions and they make you critically think is very similar to IB. It's just, I'd say IB is a bit more specific on the knowledge and requires actually a bit more information than A-level. So it was a bit more intense, but the teaching style was a lot more concentrated because we just had things to go through, and it was just, I think, a bit more concise than A-levels, which is a bit more sporadic and spread out.
So you switched pretty early, meaning you didn't have such a big disadvantage, of course. And whilst, of course, it's still quite important to have the first semester, it didn't affect you as much, did it?
No.
What about emotionally? Did you feel stressed out in any way, shape, or form, knowing that you are a whole semester behind everyone else? Or did you adapt quickly emotionally, just like you did academically?
I'd say academically it was a bit of a stressful, well, it should have been more stressful, but I was a bit more laid back than I should have been, so it wasn't personally very effective on me. But socially, most of my friends were in IB, so it was pretty easy to switch because, like, oh, my friends are here, so it's not a big deal. So that was pretty good socially, but academically it was a little bit stressful, but I was definitely not as stressed as someone in my same situation should have been.
You switched to IB just because it's more helpful for universities, which we saw for multiple
Pretty much
people
every
now.
IB case.
Every IB kid says the same thing. It is way more similar to the university style of teaching and studying, of course. And how did it help in what you are pursuing now?
It actually helped a lot because right now I'm in the first semester of med school, and for biochemistry and cell biology and biophysics, it's almost all stuff I learned in higher level biology and chemistry in IB. It's the same things, oftentimes verbatim, and some things I learned in IB I haven't actually even touched on in med school yet, even though I'm in my first semester. Things like the Krebs cycle for biology, respiration, advanced genealogy are things I learned in IB that I haven't approached yet in med school, but I will. But I'm going to have an upper edge because I had to learn these things already in IB. And also the IB coursework, the internal assessments and the extended essay and the research aspect is a lot more helpful.
All right, we're back after attempt at terrorism by my brother.
Sabotage. They're trying to bring us down. They know that we're successful.
Yeah. So sorry about that. Keep going.
No problem. Yeah, so as I was saying, there's the research aspect of IB in the internal assessments, extended essay, TOK, definitely was something that's very helpful for university. In fact, in my university, we haven't actually had to start doing assignments yet. But when we will, in like the coming years, it's going to be a lot more easy because I had to do my internal assessments for IB. So I have that layer of preparation and practice ahead of me. So I mean behind me, you know.
IB is very keen on this and very leaned on to this idea of projects and the IAs, the extended essays, unlike the A levels, which are more exam focused. Do you think that there were any specific struggles or boundaries that kind of you had to get around with whilst in IB?
I think my biggest struggle was that I didn't start studying in time. The biggest issue was that the IB exam is 2 years worth of content in one exam. Well, multiple papers, but essentially one exam. And for A levels, it's AS and then A2 for each year's respective content. So it's a bit different. So I think my major issue was that I didn't start studying in time. Ideally, it's like 3 months before your exams in May, you're supposed to start studying. But we were still working on our internal assessments because our personal school was really behind on deadlines and we're not very pushy with drafts for the internal assessments and the TOK shit. So it was quite built up in like January, February, and March. It was very hectic for the assignment. So exams weren't even like a struggle at that point. And then after that, I was like resting from the stress of the assignments. But that's when I should have been studying for my exam. So that's definitely the biggest hurdle I had to go through in the IB program.
Yeah, time management seems like a very big topic in IB. I
Yeah.
think it taught you
Very
a lot about
necessary.
time management, right? Yeah, it's a very important life skill as well. That's one thing that IB does really well.
Yeah.
If you do it right.
That's more regarding the school, the struggle, rather than the system in itself, which
That's
which makes sense because it is very important.
Pascal.
It is very important to have this kind of balance in the school of focusing on the IB system and also the students, how the students are feeling. And not all schools can do that. Not all schools manage to time manage themselves, which is pretty ironic if you think about it. The IB is trying to teach the students how to be good at time management, whilst the school itself, which is teaching the IB, is kind of bad with time management itself.
Yeah, I have the same thing with uni. They have a class about time
Yeah.
management, like with the English.
And same with me, with my current school, there's quite a problem with time management at times.
It's ironic. Maybe they should take the class instead. But
Yeah, that would be a good thing to do. Do you feel that IB put you in the correct path of reaching your ambitions? And for example, for your medical school, do you think that the IB taught you enough for you to be prepared for the subjects and the things you're going to be learning in medical school? Since some subjects in other programs may not teach specific topics because it's either too difficult or too vague or too unnecessary for people and too broad, for example. Do you think the IB did a good job by putting more complicated and have this group of topics which are being taught?
I definitely think IB actually did a really good job with how much information, but it was also because I'm doing very simple thing, medicine. It's really hard to f up because it's biology and chemistry, which are pretty straightforward. They're not they're not humanities, for example. So I can say IB did hit the marks pretty well for the university information load because I did higher level in both of them. So if you have that much biology and chemistry content, inevitably you're going to hit most of the marks anyway because there's only so much knowledge to teach at that level. So I do think for those health sciences, IB did do a really good job. I can't say for physics because I didn't do physics, but for biology and chemistry, I'd say it was pretty spot on.
And this, in A level, there is no HL and SL. You pick a subject, you get that subject. Right?
Yeah, so I feel like in A level, you don't really have a choice in terms of preparation for uni because maybe they just don't teach you enough. For example, I know you're with the same class as Lulwa, who also is doing medicine in UNIC. And she did A level, and I'm pretty sure she's learning very different things than what she learned in A level in uni. And I think in IB you have like a slight advantage because you learned similar things because it's higher level.
For sure.
Yeah, and this overall thing of having a choice between standard level and higher level, since when you're picking a subject, you also want to put it as your priority. Do you think there's a big difference in having this choice to pick HL or SL, or like A level, just you have a subject, you do it?
No, I think there's definitely a really big advantage in strategically placing certain subjects as standard level or higher level. Like for biology, for example, the information gap between standard and higher level is humongous. So a lot of people just had to pick a science because it's mandatory. So they picked biology standard level. Because if they pick higher level, it would be a ton more information. Well, a lot of more information. And it's definitely better because things you're bad at, like for example me, math, French, history, I pick them standard level so they have less impact on your overall GPA and there's less information to learn. So it's a win-win. And the things I needed to know, biology, chemistry, and English, I get more information and they're more prevalent. And so applying to university, they're more they stand out more to the university because that's what you did higher level and what you did more of. So definitely, yeah.
Do you think it was better for you, since you yourself, biologically speaking, you are male, which transitioned into a woman, and was it easier or better to come out in IB as opposed to A level, which is more based on rules and stricter and so on and so forth?
They're not very open-minded, the A-level students.
Exactly.
Not at all. No, it was definitely easier because not that the IB, it's not really the course that influences the mindset, it's more so the people in the course. In A level at our school, it's everyone is default in A level unless they pick IB. So obviously there were some open-minded people who were supportive of me, but there were plenty, if not more so, people who are not into that sort of level of understanding. And in IB it was similar, but since it is a more international based curriculum and open-mindedness is one of the key IB values, it's not super incorporated, but it's very popular in the whole gimmick of IB, then definitely it was easier for me to come out to them because they kind of have to be open-minded. But in A level, there's no real requirement for that to be understanding of people. So, yeah.
Yeah, I bet you 50% of the viewers just left because they figured out that you're not a biological woman. They're like, God damn it! I thought I had a chance. Anyways, sorry. It would be way worse to come out in A level, especially with the not being racist against Cypriots or anything.
Cypriots.
But the Cypriots in the class were so mean. Everyone, honestly.
It was a lot of people.
Of course, there's a lot of people who are against it. I myself are against the idea, but I respect you as a person and I respect your opinion. But the Cypriots themselves, the Cypriots are the biggest problem, I think. And no Cypriot has taken...
won't just be Cypriot. It depends on the country. There's very close-minded nationalities.
Yeah.
The close-minded traditional values.
And of course the people who are less, not to be mean, but those guys are...
less educated.
They're less educated, less...
about the topic.
Well-raised. Yeah, exactly. That topic isn't really a thing we talked about.
Let's get a fit check.
Fit check.
Fit check.
Fit check.
chat.
Now it's time for a quick intermission. This video is brought to you by. Put a towel on Yasin's head and fucking blow him. What about the way they teach? For example, in A-level, it's more focused on exams rather than those extended essays and IAs and in the IB system. Do you think that affects your university study?
Yeah, because I feel like the essays you do in IB are pretty similar to the ones you do in university.
Is that true in your case?
I haven't actually done any essays for university yet, so I wouldn't actually know. But in terms of IB, no. Actually, the internal assessments are mainly done by the student. There's not much relevance to them in class at all. Except for things like TOK, where like for the second year you do only work on your essay or your exhibition in class. For like all the regular subjects, you just learn for the exam. Everything you learn is teaching you for the exam, exactly like A-levels. It's just, again, it's 2 years of content instead of 1. So that just means it's like, the exam prevalence starts earlier, but it's the same for A-levels because there's the AS exam. So it's really the same in terms of that department. The internal assessments are like a very important thing for the IB, but ultimately they're not the focus in lectures. They're just a thing you mainly have to do. It's mainly on the student, not really the teachers, besides the one draft you're allowed.
See, that's actually a different question than what we got from others. And it's interesting because, first of all, Lorenzo himself isn't in university yet, and he gave a different answer. He said that it's way more focused on that universities are more focused on this personal work and the project, so IB helps.
Oh, universities are. Universities 100%. But I'm saying IB, like you were saying how A-levels is more exam focused, IB is more work focused. No, IB is also very exam focused. They're the same in that regard. University is definitely way more personal assignment focused, but honestly, there's no real focus in university. They just teach you and that's it. Like there's no revisionary class or study guide. You just learn stuff and then you get an exam. There's no like, oh, this will be on the exam. Just you learn stuff. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, it's the basic. Basically, it's kind of for now, it's the basics of how university works. Do you think that this is going to change in the next semesters? It's going to get difficult, obviously. It's going to get more difficult for you. And maybe the way of studying will also change. Like, you will start to get those projects, assignments, and so on. And do you think that in that case, the IB system is going to be, the people who did IB are going to be at an advantage compared to the people who did A-levels?
I do think so, yes, because IB does make you do research for the internal assessments, where there are internal assessments, and you have to like, for some you have to find sources to back up your claims, which is the thing you have to do in university a lot. In other degrees, they're getting lots of assignments and quizzes and things. It's just my specific degree doesn't work like that. But definitely anyone who did IB by default has experience. However, in A-levels, from what I understand, they can also ask you to do essays, but I think they're less formal and less strictly graded and research-based than IB. But essay writing, I'm pretty sure, is still a prevalent thing in A-levels.
A-level essays, they're not university standards compared to IB essays. Like, the level is very different. Also, A-level essays aren't as big as a part of your grade as much as the IB essays. I know IB essays have very high importance, right? A-level essays,
and a word count.
It's just something to add to your daily work grade, for example. So it's not that serious.
That's true.
Your turn to ask.
What the f***? I'm supposed to be adding to this guy's question.
I know.
Time out. We need to think of... So, I just wanted to ask, right? Do you think your SL subjects that you took will ever have any relevance in what you study or in what you work in the future, or was it just kind of like a waste of time and you should have rather had just your HL subjects to focus on more?
I wanted to ask.
It was definitely a waste of time. Definitely a waste of time for my specific degree, because if you were doing maybe something more humanities based, then it would be the same problem, because for example, everyone has to do a science. And a lot of people don't do scientific-based degrees, so there's no need to do a science. But for me, history is never going to come up. Math, calculus is never going to come up because I'm doing medicine. And then French, because I'm studying in an American English-speaking university, and I plan to practice in America or Cyprus. French is never going to come up. So yeah, I would have been better off if I just didn't have to do that from the get-go.
I bet as well it would have been nicer to have more time for your HL subjects, since IB is
For
very
sure.
time management.
For sure.
You know.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And apart from that, editor, cut this out if I asked this already.
I'll tell you.
Yeah. Apart from that, are there any other big flaws that you think that IB really has to work on?
That's a good one. Probably TOK as a theory of knowledge as a subject, because it's not just philosophy.
Yeah,
it's like a special kind of. Wait, can I curse? Can I like be profanity?
Yeah.
Dude, you've been cursing for like all the time, of course.
I know, but like, okay, TOK is essentially TOK is philosophy. If someone had to stick up their ass the whole time they wrote the textbook, it's unnecessarily extra. It's doesn't even make sense, and you essentially have to talk as if you know a lot about something which no one knows anything about. It's incredibly flawed, and a lot of teachers don't know how to teach it properly, which then makes your essay and your exhibition that much harder. And also, the biggest thing that you guys haven't asked about yet is CAS, Community Activity Service. That is so unnecessary. It's not even graded anymore. It used to be a grade. Now it's not. It's just a thing you have to do. And a lot of people end up doing way too much because they think they have to do way too much, and they waste a lot of time. Again, they would have had better used if they actually just studied. So I'd say TOK and CAS, the non like main 6 subjects, is like the most useless part of IB because it's not helping university. It's not doing anything major for you. It's just occupying time for no reason. Definitely that.
You know, CAS is also kind of flawed in the fact where in the service part, uh, you can't do the service. Well, it's not going to be counted if you're getting paid for it, which is, in my opinion, a massive flaw. And if you're, for example, you want to do some charity and you're going to work as an animator, like for example I did, work as an animator, dress up in costumes, entertain kids, but you're getting paid for it because it's you went to a company, so it's kind of like a job. They can't not pay you, but IB is not going to count it because you're getting paid for it. Do you think it's? What's your opinion on it?
Well, first of all, you can lie.
Of course,
Just don't say you got paid.
Yeah, of course you can always lie and just say you're not getting paid, but it to avoid.
Yeah.
Do you think it's a bad idea to have this kind of thing of if you're getting paid, it's not service?
I think that service isn't the right word for what they want. I think they want you to do something that gives back to a community, and usually that is meant to be selfless. It's not meant to be something that's like an exchange. It's more of a one way. Like my service activities were helping set up posters in my school, or going to assist kids, disabled kids to do like sports because I wasn't getting paid. I think it's meant to be more community, as in like you give to the community. It's not really meant to be like, oh, just something you do. No, not community, sorry, service. It's meant to be like like non mutualistic service, which is misconstrued in the name, but evidently that's what they want. So it's not really like unfair, it's more just labeling.
It should be named creativity activity, give back to the community.
You're right. You are in control of the proof you give them. And like you can just leave out, like obviously it's not ethically right and I don't encourage it, but you can easily just say you didn't do something. You can just say you didn't. In fact, you can lie. You can just lie. Half of us can just be lying. No one checks. You can tell your teacher.
When I worked as an animator here in Cyprus, I genuinely said, "No, I'm not getting paid," even though I was.
You know what I put for my cast for activity? I said I was depressed and I went out twice with my friends, and that was like a huge thing for me. It worked.
Overall, Cass, even though it's kind of a big flaw of the service thing, do you think it's a good compensator for not having time for a personal life since IB is so Ladies and gentlemen, sorry about that. We had some technical difficulties.
Because we spent 11 euros on the whole setup, and we're cheapskates. So
we're very cheap, so yeah. Excuse this stupidity. Let's get back to it. So yeah, sorry about that. So the whole casting again, because of IB, students have little to no personal time. They don't really go out with friends, they don't go out with family. Well, at least that's what's happening to me right now, and that's what's happened to us last year. And so basically, you had way less time to even focus on yourself. So do you think that the CAS was a good idea of compensating for it?
Not in the slightest. I think if anything, it stresses people out more because it's things they have to do and things they have to do on their own time. Or like if the school helps out, it's great. But if you aren't lucky enough to do a school mandated CAS activity, you got to do this yourself. So that's even more things you have to do, which are not really personally beneficial unless it's like going to the gym for activity. But yeah, I would definitely say it does not help bridge that gap of a lack of personal time at all. But I also think it depends on how serious you are about IB, because like for me, for example, who didn't do any studying, I had a ton of free time. The school assignments were probably what took up the most amount of time, but everything else was pretty chill until like exam season. Then everything went to shit, obviously. But prior to that, I had lots of free time. But if you're actually doing IB properly, yeah, you're not going to have much free time. But it's to each their own.
Interesting. All right, and last questions. First of all, do you regret taking IB?
No, only because my specific degree has a lot of benefits from IB. But if I was doing a degree that maybe didn't need all that, I would probably regret it. But I had a good time, so I'm not that bad. Like, I'm not that mad. So I don't think I would regret it either way.
So you would advise someone to take IB over A level if they had the possibility?
No, that is a jump. I would not recommend it unless, again, they have the need for university or they want to have a more like forcibly structured schedule because of IB's assessments and due dates. Then maybe, but if they're just going to university, like if I knew I was going to just end up in EUC, I would not have done IB, no. Right. But because I thought I was going to America for university, I did IB to allow that to happen. So it depends.
In your case, if you did A level, you'd probably still be where you are today, right?
Most definitely.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it depends on the person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think someone going for more prestige might choose IB over A level because it's held a bit higher than A level. Right.
Mm-hmm. No, it's much higher actually. It's higher than A level, than American AP. It's like one of the most respected academic laureates you can do across the world in terms of its difficulty and rigor.
I mean, yeah, you put in the effort, you better get,
good value.
The value.
Something. It's like a pity star.
Of course. And last question, what is the main one big advice you would give to someone who is deciding to pick IB?
Time management, as you guys also pointed out. Manage your time, pick things that are going to help you and that you are at least the slightest bit interested in. Research on your own if your teachers won't give you information, and pay attention in class. And yeah, that's really it. Just if you have time management, pay attention in class and do like some studying outside of that, and then you lock it in like 3 months before your exam, you'll be fine. Also, there's plenty of online resources for IB exams and internal assessments. Like I think Classify, IB Ninja or something. There's a lot of them. So use online resources too, and you'll be fine.
So free for free. I think all three of our guests so far have said that time management is the biggest thing in IB. I absolutely agree. Time management is a massive thing in the IB. If you don't know how to manage your time, you don't know how to manage your subjects, that means you don't know how to manage your essays, you're completely screwed. So yeah, let's see if the future guests will tell us the same thing.
Because I feel, IB is more, compared to A level, tell me if I'm wrong, it's more part of your life. I feel IB, you have to kind of change your own schedule and lifestyle depending on what you do. And in terms of A level, it's more like a side quest, if you understand what I'm trying to say. It's more, I just have to go to school, do this little chore, and come back home and I'm fine. Yeah.
Yeah, essentially, that's exactly it.
Yeah. Well then, thank you for joining us today. Thank you for answering all
Thanks
our
for having
questions.
me. Thank you.
Yeah. So.
I'll do the thing again.
What? Oh yeah. We will get back to you with the paycheck of $4.
Yep.
You can keep it.
And really, oh, we get to eat. We get to eat today. So yeah, thank you very
Then I
much.
want it.
Oh, god damn it.
Viewers, thank you for watching. As always, leave a comment. Don't like, don't subscribe. We don't want to push this further. We don't want the algorithm to push this video further down so we can be watched by other people. I don't want to get embarrassed. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for your time.
I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your time wasted on YouTube, because why are you even watching this video? Thank you. Goodbye. Play the outro. We don't have an outro. And
I think I should explode for the outro.
blow him up!